We abuse land because we regard it as a commodity belonging to us.
I mean, we were out here to conquer this country, not to make it better.
Like winds and sunsets, wild things were taken for granted until progress began to do away with them.
At the time where most of the country was abusing the land, Otto Leopold was saying, hold on, we need to understand that our community is less without that.
When we see land as a community to which we belong, we may begin to use it with love and respect.
The products we throw away don't magically disappear once we take the trash to the curb. These products can last in our environment, landfills, and oceans for years. Plastic bottles can last for 450 years. Aluminum cans last for 200 years. Glass can last for so long, we have not been able to determine how long it lasts. America represents only 5% of the global population, but we generate over 30% of the world's waste. America is the most wasteful country, and our global community feels the impact. In America, only 34% of all glass products were recycled in 2013, and in 2014, only 23% of the 50 million plastic bottles used by Americans were recycled, and over 1 billion trees worth of paper were thrown away. This is a waste of our natural resources and needs to change. Not only does our waste have a negative impact on our environment, but on our wildlife as well. According to the Oceans and Atmosphere Business Unit, an estimated 90% of seabirds have eaten plastic, and 30% of those have it permanently lodged in their gut. There is a common misconception that recycling costs more money, and Leopold had an answer to people who think that like that. Luckily, that is not true. Cease being intimidated by the argument that right action is impossible because it does not yield maximum profits, or that wrong action is condemned because it pays. Recycling saves everyone money. It improves our efficiency and reduces energy and fuel use, improves air and water quality while reducing landfill space and the impact on our environment. Recycling glass uses 70% less energy, and plastic uses 78% less compared to producing it from raw materials. So what do you need to do? You can upcycle your products, such as making a sustainable hanging garden like this, or recycle for all it's worth. In the words of Leopold, ethical behavior is doing the right thing when no one else is watching, even when doing the wrong thing is legal. Let's start with one of the problems. Currently, 90% of all energy in the United States comes from non-renewable energy sources. These include petroleum, coal, nuclear, and natural gas. There's a finite amount of all these resources. That means once they are used and spent, they are gone from us for good. Aldo Leopold put it well when he said, "Harmony with the land is like harmony with a friend. You cannot cherish his right hand and chop off his left." We need energy to live our lives, and if we treat it well, we will continue to be able to live those lives. It is easy to recognize and understand that in the long run, we as a species need to conserve our resources, but it also can affect our wallets here and now. Energy is money. This is easiest to see at the pump and our utility bill. Programmable thermostats can save up to $150 a year in energy cost when used properly. Use one that can automatically turn off your cooling system when you are not home and turn your system on in time for you to arrive home to a cooled house. Lighting makes up about 10% of home energy costs. Save up to 75% of that energy by replacing incandescent bulbs with compact fluorescent bulbs, CFLs. They also last longer, saving money on replacements. Running your air conditioning at 78 degrees instead of 72 degrees can save between 6 and 18% of your cooling bill. On average, households lose about 20% of their heated and cooled air through duct systems to the outside. To avoid wasting energy, have your ducts inspected to ensure they're sealed properly and insulated if necessary. Heating water can account for 14 to 25% of energy consumed in your home. Turn down the temperature of your water heater to the warm setting or 120 degrees and save energy. Leaving a computer on all day can cost about 21 cents per day or about $75 per year. Unplug electronics and appliances when not in use. A task made easier by using multiple outlet strips, which can turn everything off with a flip of a switch. Deforestation is the process of removing trees and forest. During the 1990s, logging on federal forests dramatically fell. Timber cutting dropped to 3.3 billion board feet by 1997. Today, only 3% of the country's softwood timbers are from national forests. Logging causes damage to the ecosystem by bulldozing through wilderness. Forests which were quiet and peaceful are now barraged by loud roars from chainsaws, diesel engines, and loggers cutting tree limbs. If we change the way we harvest trees by doing selective and partial harvesting, this is where loggers go in and thin an area so there isn't so much overgrowth and fuel when there is a fire. When rain comes, the water that once soaked the forest floor now floods into the ditches and culverts, making streams. The massive amounts of runoff and topsoil and debris swell the creeks and changes the riverbanks. Forests help with the carbon cycle. If we cut down all the trees in the forest, it affects carbon dioxide in all the air, which causes a greenhouse effect. We can do our part by doing the 3 R's. Number 1, reduce. Use less wood products like paper and toothpicks. Number 2, reuse. Use reusable cups instead of disposable ones. 3, recycle. Dispose of waste properly by recycling and repurposing to make something usable again. An invasive species is a plant or animal that is not native to a specific area and tends to cause damage affecting the environment, human economy, human and wildlife health. Invasive species cause the land to be less productive, as well as contribute to the cost of crop loss and the cost of eradication or long-term management. Invasive species are usually introduced by coming in on imported goods or by individuals introducing them. According to the Idaho State Department of Agriculture, the Japanese beetle is an invasive pest in southern Idaho that causes land degradation and costs the state of Idaho and farmers time and money to control. These green and yellow traps are a common sight as they are scattered around Boise in an effort to control the problem. Kudzu is an invasive species that has greatly impacted the southern United States. According to Science Daily, kudzu incurs $50 million in crop loss and pest control to the United States annually. Many unwanted pests hitch rides on vehicles including boats and machinery, such as farm equipment. Another way for a pest to travel is in firewood or other items that people transport long distances. The best way to help is prevention and be actively aware when you are traveling. To sum up our project, land ethics simply enlarges the boundaries of the community to include soils, water, plants, and animals, or collectively the land. In short, land ethics changes the role of Homo sapiens from conqueror of the land community to plain members and citizens of it. It implies respect for the community as such. Examine each question in terms of what is ethically and aesthetically right, as well as what is economically expedient. A thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. It is wrong when it tends otherwise. We, as a whole, need to take care of what we all rely on, our environment.